a teacher, and then we will get the quality of teaching, or both. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair, I'm very pleased to speak in this appropriations debate, and I want to acknowledge Minister Parata because I think she actually has a plan for education in this country, unlike the opposition. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by talking about the increased investment in education. Under our government, this is the fourth successive budget whereby we have increased education. We are now spending $9.6 billion in this country, $500 million more in the last budget. Can I also say, Mr. Speaker, I think there has been a very clear ideological point that's been made by the opposition today. Today the opposition have said that basically parents have no role in students' learning because every single night when parents read to their children, when they get home, they are involved in the learning pathway. And when you look at this budget and when you look at the initiatives that we've put forward, whether it's national standards and providing greater data to parents, whether it's greater accountability and choice within our education system, we believe on this side of the House that it's not okay that 1 in 5 children leave our education system not being able to read and write properly. And what we are focused on is accepting that there are some amazing teachers and principals in this country, but that is not an acceptable standard for this country. That's why you've seen in this budget, firstly, a massive increase in what we're spending, but then secondly, you've also seen some targeted initiatives that are focused on those children, and I want to talk about a couple of those. The first thing is that when it comes to early childhood education, we are seeing a massive increase, 34% increase since 2008. That is huge, and it's particularly focused on Māori and Pacifica kids. So we've seen $47 million in targeted initiatives to ensure that Māori and Pacific kids are not on the back foot when they start out in our education system. We also have put forward the initiative of partnership schools. Now what that's about is saying that for some students a different model may work, and we have seen huge interest from iwi, from Pacifica organisations, and I want to give people an example of that. At my select committee, we currently have an inquiry into Pacific languages, so I want members opposite to think about this for a moment here. There are many students who are Pacifica students who have barriers to our education system in the area of language, and I want members opposite to think about the fact as to whether having a system, certain schools where some of those teachers or some of those people come into those schools who have specialty in language, that would actually help a number of Pacifica students. So from my perspective, this is about greater choice and about providing for some of those most disadvantaged students another option. The other big aspect of our education plan is lifting achievement, and what we are saying on this side of the House is the status quo is not acceptable, and that is why we have implemented national standards, because again we believe that parents have a right to certain data about how their children are doing so that they can be involved in a student's pathway in terms of their learning. So there is a philosophical and an ideological difference between members on the opposite side and our members. We do value the role of teachers and principals in this country, but we also believe that parents have a key role to play in learning, and that's why when we have put forward national standards, we've actually said, look, we're not interested in league tables, but we are interested in providing good data to parents about how their students are doing. We also believe the other aspect of our education plan is a 21st century education system. That's why we've put in $1.5 billion into ultra-fast broadband. That's why, as part of the mixed ownership model that's been opposed by the opposite members, we are putting $1 billion into modernising schools. So what you can see here on this side of the House is a very clear education plan that has increased investment in education, $500 million in this budget, that has greater transparency and accountability through national standards, that has targeted initiatives to particularly vulnerable students, whether it's the $47 million in terms of early childhood education, whether it's partnership schools, whether it's ensuring that we actually have decent data about where these kids are, some of these kids that are failing, whether it's the youth guarantee places that we put forward. We've been very focused on saying, while for Pākehā kids, They are doing second in the world. For Maori and Pacific kids, I think it's 33rd and 44th respectively. We cannot have a situation where the status quo remains. And members opposite have demonstrated they are living in a 1950s world where they believe that on an ideological basis, teachers are the only people that can be involved in learning. We don't believe that. That's reflected in an increased budget, targeted initiatives for some of our most vulnerable, and increased transparency and accountability. I'm very proud to support this.
Ko te ora, Flavel.
Tēnā koe, Mr Chair. Kia ora tātou katoa. Mr Chair, last